are live on the Facebook.
Hi, Facebook. I'm back.
Right?
We're
Hey,
back.
hey, y'all. We are excited today. Okay, so I don't quite have our music yet, but we got something special for y'all. So while I am going to share our post and continue to stream, we want you guys to play a little bit of Name That Tune. Okay. So this is the cartoon edition. So all my 80s babies should know because it's special edition because, today is my birthday. So we are special editioning this 80s theme music. Okay.
I like it. I'm here for it.
So it is a cartoon from the 80s. So while I am sharing, you guys get to listen to it, think about what it goes to, and I want to see y'all name that tune in the comments. Here we go.
You gotta
I
turn
know
it.
somebody
I can't
know
hear
it.
it. I can't hear it.
You gotta hear it.
Like barely. You gotta do it again, cause
Okay.
nobody else can
Oh, I
hear it.
gotta do it again. Okay. Hold on.
I was
Let
like,
me make
wait.
sure
I wanna.
I
I
turn
wanna
the.
name the tune. I
You
won't
said
put
I
it in
want
the
to
chat
name
yet.
the tune. Okay. Hold on. Here we go. Can you hear it? And that's all, folks. You heard it that time?
We heard it that time. We heard it.
Mm-hmm. All right, y'all. So drop in them comments. What was the name? What does that cartoon theme song go to? What is it? I
Feel
know
like
y'all know.
I feel like the younger people are gonna be challenged, but that's okay. Putting up my happy birthdays for you. Look.
Yay! Thank you, Elaine. She is watching. I appreciate it. Thank you for the birthday shout out. We are super excited for today's Talk Tuesday because today is everything back to school. We are talking back to school tips and different types of topics for this month in regards to our students and families and teachers. Oh, Elaine said Looney Tunes. Yeah.
For the win. For the win.
That was my favorite. I used to love me some Looney Tunes, and especially, oh my gosh, Elmer Fudge,
His poor little
Woody
lips.
Woodpecker. It's always the ones that really don't talk that's like the most fun. Um, so yes, we are talking everything for back to school this month. So today's topic of choice is back to school tips for parents and for students. What should you know going back to school to make sure that you have a sufficient school year? Hopefully, an easier school year. Here go our guy Smitty's in the building. Let me let him in. So yes. So Doc, if you could offer a student a tip, what would it be?
Oh. Okay. So I think the first thing, and I know this seems like it would be like a no brainer, but I think the first thing is start preparing to be able to get up and be refreshed. And I know, there's still a couple of weeks of school left, or of summer left before school starts. For most of our kids, at least, everyone goes back. At least up here, everyone goes back on my birthday, which is August 15th. But the so what I think is important is for them to start transitioning back to a regular sleep schedule. And I know that's not fun, but
Mhm.
for our high school kids, they have to be up at 5 something in the morning because
For
most of their
early.
parents are picking them up at 6 or 6 something. And so, you know, if you've been used to staying up all summer playing games and doing whatever and not being able to shut down mentally so that you can rest, you're going to have a rough go at the beginning of the school year. So just take this next week, 2 weeks to just kind of put yourself to bed a little bit earlier. I'm not saying you can't have any fun. I'm just saying it's going to be a rough transition if you try to just keep doing like you've been doing and then wake up, you know, according to the new schedule once school
Absolutely.
starts. So that's my first thing. Like get your body and mind and all of that right and ready to go back to school.
Yes.
Yay!
Man,
Thank you,
and
Sam. We missed you.
I just want to apologize for missing last week and then being late today. Man,
No,
life is a
no,
cold
we made
hustle.
it, huh?
We'll take you
Yeah,
when we can get you. We appreciate
Okay.
right on,
it, you know?
right on. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Uh, I hope everyone's doing well. I thank the sisters for welcoming me back in. I'm gonna jump in where I heard the conversation was going. Talk about getting back in school. And you know, because I heard it on the one of the commercials the day, they was talking about, wow, summers are over. Now we're talking about back to school.
Yeah.
You know, getting that back to school vibe. And again, if we just change the mind process of how we conversate young folks while they're in school, you
Yeah.
know, I think that's a detriment to our community. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong, you know, but what I think where I'm trying to go is in our community, I think we're in this traditional cycle where once summer comes, it's like hallelujah, forget about school. You know, we're
Mhm.
out. We're gonna, you know, do whatever we do, right? Um, I think what we got to try to go with is, to the doctor's point, instead of getting the process and getting your body back on function, to think about getting up to make that bus to make your school on time, is to stay in that throughout the summer. Now I know that's taboo. We don't talk school in the summer, you know. Um, but again, if we're talking about the advancement of our community, we got to do some things different and
Mhm.
provide some different ways of thinking. And I'm not saying you need to go to school in the summer. It won't hurt. I tell you that it won't hurt. But getting up, staying in a routine, right? I think those things are important. And if you have young folks, you know, one of the young men told me, you know, he say, pops, man, I remember I used to come to your house, and you made us get up on 9 o'clock on Saturday morning. I was like, yeah, because ain't no man gonna be laying in my house, and I'm working. You know what I'm
I know
saying?
that's right.
Uh, so I think it's just, even if it's not in school, to keep your students in the frame of mind that they got to get up, they got things to do. There's chores, whether it's going to the house. If we want to extend what we was talking about before about the financial literacy, giving them a to-do list of in a certain amount. Hey, I need this done throughout the course of the day. When I get home, have it done. You know, so yeah, I think just staying in the mindset of getting something done, getting up and being active.
Absolutely. To
Absolutely.
your point, that's so good because I think, you know, so many teachers I've talked to have to spend a good portion of the first part of the year just kind of reacclimating their students to what it's like to be in school. You can't snack all day. You can't do, you know, all those things that are happening at home. And you know, in our household, I require learning throughout the summer. It's not the same as, you know, full on school day, but you need to read for a minimum of an hour each day. You need to, you know, do things that keep your mind fresh. And if there's summer assignments, you know, make sure that you're doing those things. Make I don't choose what books are read. I want you to enjoy the process. So I really encourage them to find a new series, find a new this or something you know, if you don't have a series that you're interested in, see what's out there. But it's important because it is so clear that especially in our community there is a lot of, I guess they call it like the summer drop off or the
Yes.
decline, where it's just the kids are not used to being engaged in educational efforts. And
For the
so
summer.
Doctor,
Yep.
can
for
I
the
interject
summer,
with you? And doctor, because you always set me up words. Uh, I don't even think it's all off. I think it's a regression,
Yes.
because to your point, that first half of returning to school, teachers are going kind of back over where they ended the last year on.
Hmm.
So again, to help ourselves out, instead of regressing and going backwards, to your point, hey, read a book. Better yet, because the doctor again said, I'm not going to pick your books, but if you can't find a book that you like, write your own, create your own series of stories,
Yeah.
do something that I'm doing this thing right now where I was going to read a story to my grandson, but they don't have any books for his age group that looks like him. So, you know what? Let me create books for this age group from my perspective that could possibly benefit my grandson. So again, young folks and parents, just because it's not out there doesn't mean you can't create it to stimulate you to keep you going throughout the summer. So good point, doctor. I definitely appreciate that.
Thanks.
I love that. And so we do have a student in the room. So hi, welcome back. I am super excited because programs for us have started back. It's now August, so we are in program mode right before school starts, and so you'll start seeing some students coming in and out of the room. But you watching on Facebook, you won't see our students; they only see them on Zoom. But yes, one other question that I have for you guys, because I know as we're talking about how we can keep our students engaged during the summer, and so that they don't have to have that mind frame going back to school like in the fall, because it's hard to break that cycle, because once you start it, like they say, it becomes a habit, right? And habits are hard to break. And so we know staying up till 2, 3, 4 in the morning is easy to do, especially when you don't have anything to get up for. But it has also become part of a high school student's routine. They are getting their bodies adjusted while in school to staying up late to hustle and bustle to finish those homework assignments or to work on whatever the next project is for school. And so they are lacking in sleep. What is one tip that you would give students, especially, whether it's during the summer or even in the school year, to kind of break that cycle or to break that chain, because it has become a huge norm for them?
This one's gonna I'm gonna get a lot of pushback from this, but you have to stop procrastinating. Like when you get that assignment and it's given and you know that you've got 2 weeks to do it, start it. You know, you don't have to do it all in one day, but plan it out so that, okay, if I have a week to get this assignment in, if I can do, let's say I need to write 3 pages or a 5 page report. If I have a week, I can plan it so that I do 2 pages, 3 pages on Monday. Start hard. Start with my husband likes to call it swallowing the toad, which I don't know where that comes from, but basically he's like, do the hard part first.
Yes.
That way you finish up the easier things and then it feels like smooth sailing. And so as soon as you get that assignment, start planning how you're going to get it done. What time frame? Because here's the thing, if you wait until the last minute and something happens, now your stress is up high because now it's a problem, as opposed to, and then you're like, man, if I had only, so if you get an assignment, start the plan now. You don't have to wait until the last minute. And to that point, I guess that ties into my other really big thing is use a planner. Start building good time management habits, because here's the thing, it's only going to get busier in your life, and as an adult, if you've already started figuring out, well, how am I going to figure out my schedule, and I mean, it's similar to the schedule you have at school, right? They tell you what class you need to be in at this time and that time. You've got some breaks built in and things like that, but you can do that with your own time too. You can schedule in, I plan to meet up with my friends and game at this point in time. And I'm really big about schedules in my family, because with so many kids and different activities, and we have to we have to figure out what we're all doing or we're never going to see each other. So we try to make time for things, you know. So doing that and putting it on a schedule and knowing where you're going to be or what you need to get done will really set you up to get all the things that you want accomplished as well as the things that you need.
That's my favorite because I am an advocate for planners, y'all. Calendars and planners. You know,
Most
that's my
schools give
jam.
it to them most schools supply them with a planner, you know. So it's like, at least here, the planners, their hall pass, the planner, you know, they have to
Yes, it's
have it
everything.
to do things. And
Yep.
so if you already have it, why not use
Use
it?
it.
And most of you have phones too. There's one right here on here. So
Yep.
definitely use it. If you don't want to just write things down, use the one on your phone.
Yes. Look,
So
tips, y'all, tips. Mhm.
yeah, so here I go. You can utilize this for your planner, but this is probably the single most biggest problem with our young folks right now. Um, you know, everything the doctor said is on point. I would just like to add the other end to that. Um, you know, this has 24 hours, 24 hours. And the worst thing to be at high school or any school is not cool. So when you get there in the morning, you want to know the latest TikTok, you want to know the latest this, that, what happened, and you know, whatever. So you stay up all night waiting for that thing to be like, oh, I just found out. I know this, 4 a.m. You ain't got no sleep. You know, that's the hardest. And I mean, I'm saying this begrudgingly, but I'm so glad I don't have young children in K through 12 right now with this phone, because this is a problem. I see it every day with the young folks in the school. They're tired. They don't get up. They don't go to bed till 4 or 5, and then they're up at 7, or they're trying to get up at 7. You know, the thing I tell young folks is be selfish about your time, about your life. You have to be so selfish about your time, because no matter what you think, the people on the other end of that phone don't know you and they don't care about you. They could care less about the things you got going on in your life and the places you're trying to go. So think for young folks, and I'm going to be really specific here. If we're talking eighth grade through about 11th grade, you have to know what your plan is, what you're trying to accomplish, because then that's going to dictate how selfish you are with your time, and what it is you're going to allow other people to, how much you're going to allow other folks to distract you. You know, again, I don't know what to say, because we're in a time right now where the cell phone and the internet is 24/7. The world is constantly up and on and going. And the overstimulation for our young folks is the byproduct or to say is the bad byproduct of this, you know, 24/7 news cycle that we live in. But again, you know, young folks, be selfish about your time. It's your life. And I know other things are happening on the internet, and that's fine. You know, you got to get some rest, man. Or sister, just turn the phone off, put it on vibrate, something. You know, and let me just be really old right now.
Not really old.
You know, we stay up to 11:30 after Johnny Carson went off, and then the Rainbows came on the TV, so we had to go to sleep. There was nothing else to do.
It just went snow after a while. Like,
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. I was just telling my son about that. I'm like, back in the day, son, it was like 11 o'clock at night, and then you would just get the shh,
That's it.
and then the little thing with the lines, and it'd be like,
You know,
it was an annoying noise.
And to your point,
and we are.
I think it's important for them to develop good sleep hygiene. And what
Yes.
you said that really was like, yes, when you said turn off that phone. So what we did for a time in our family was I made everybody put their phone in the hallway. I had it set up all nice, a little console table for that's where all the chargers were. So if you want to be able to use that phone tomorrow, you have to put it in the hallway to charge it. And
Mm.
so, but there was a set time. Everybody's phone needed to be out front because it's that overstimulation thing is real. And
Yeah.
so people trying to lay in their beds and, you know, I'm getting ready for bed, but you're still on your phone. You're still wide awake.
You're not going to bed.
You're not going to bed. And so it's important to recognize, you know, even just laying in the bed, yes, it's somewhat restful, but you need to shut it down. So you gotta, you know,
true.
if you don't think you can have your phone next to you and do that, then find another way. Put it in your bathroom, plug it up out of your reach so that you can really disconnect and get some rest. Because otherwise, I mean, you're young now, but negative, those bad sleep habits start taking a toll
It
even now.
continues. Yep.
And see, I think where we have to go further, in our local area around here, not in our particular county, but a neighboring county, we just had a county supervisor come under scrutiny because she actually addressed this problem. And a lot of it is parent accountability. You know, if us as grown folks and the role models and the parents or the guardians of these young folks are telling
like
them, hey,
this.
turn your phone off or put it down and get some sleep, but yet we sitting there doing exactly what we telling them
Not to do. Yep.
right. Then they're looking at us like, well, and you know, so we got to be mindful of the example that we set and then what we tell young folks to do. You know, I have this thing, and this is just my personal thing because I guess I'm so old, I don't want to ever be so connected to my phone that it's my life. So, you know, I only answer my phone 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. After that, that's my personal time for my family or whatever. You know, if that phone goes off at 9 a.m., it better be the bat phone from my daughter or somebody in peril, you know, because otherwise you get nothing until I decide at 9 a.m. the next day that I'll return that message. You know, now, again, that's me, but I think that's something that needs to happen.
No, but I love that you brought that up, because what that also teaches our young people who are listening is setting boundaries.
Yeah.
Yes.
You got to start somewhere, because it's so easy for us to, like you said, lay in the bed and pick up that phone, and you know, that friend who sees that, hey, your status says you online, so if you up and I'm up, I can go ahead and send you this message real quick, and I know you're gonna answer me. And what you think is just, it takes me a second to answer, leads into 20 minutes, leads into 30 minutes. And that time that you said you was gonna go to sleep just keeps escalating and going longer and longer and longer, because now y'all in full-fledged conversation. So it's true. Learning how to turn it off allows you to set a boundary. And as you guys start to learn about boundaries, it goes beyond just the setting of your phone time. It goes into your daily life habits. And work-life balance is real, because when you guys start to prepare for what your life is going to be like when you leave high school, we're talking about balancing your career or balancing college. And you have to learn how to start now in order to make it successful when you get there. So it starts now, guys.
I think for our students who are in extracurricular activities, they've already started juggling some of these multiple roles.
Yes.
So that, you know, to that effect, if you find yourself stressed out, if you find yourself like, oh man, I have so much to do and feeling harried, that tells me you don't have the boundaries that you need yet. And so it's important to be able to evaluate, like, what's going on? Why do I feel so stressed? Why do I feel so, you know, out of sorts, or whatever terminology you use, feeling like you're constantly going, is because you need to figure out, okay, what are the things I can prioritize? How am I using my time? Because to your point, Smitty, if you are, you know, in that late night conversation and you're exhausted in the morning and then you're running late to get to the bus, you don't have time to grab breakfast, so now you've missed food, you know, it starts a whole snowball cycle where you've started that day in a rush, and it's probably going to feel rushed all day, because that's just how, you know, it's going to pan out, because things just kept overwhelming. And then don't that's not even considering if you have an event after school, or if you have, you know, what else is coming on. So it's just important to take a second, try to figure out, okay, you know, I'm not saying you need to go to bed at 8 o'clock at night. I'm just saying figure out what type of sleep you really need to function at your best, and give yourself that. I love the ideas. I know that, you know, most of these kids are so tech savvy. Most of you all know way more than I do about my phone. And one of the cool things I so I have an iPhone, and I love that they've changed some of the ways you can do focus. So it used to be New Dot, but now they have focus, and you can put school time on there, work time on there. So basically, like Smitty said, he only answers the phone from 9 to 9. You can put personal time on there. So at 9 p.m., my phone won't even ring it'll send the message saying this person is in, do not disturb mode. If it's an emergency, it'll ring through, but they have to actively choose that. And so use those tools to your advantage, because
Absolutely.
if you know you have a friend that has absolutely no boundaries and they'll call you at midnight and wake you up and shut your phone off. If you don't want to shut your phone off, put it on do not disturb. That way you can at least set yourself up for the best rest that you can get.
I love that
And
you brought
so,
up the
and so
focus view. And before you go, Smitty, I want to just say, because Caesar put it in the chat, I like sleep, so I just power off my phone when I go to
So
bed
that's right,
and put
Caesar.
it
I'm
some
with
feet
you.
away.
I'm
But
with
I
you.
go to
I'm with
sleep at
you.
8 p.m., so I'm good.
I
I'm
love
with you.
it. I love it.
Absolutely.
Go ahead, Smitty.
Again, just to always, again, I don't want to just get away from myself. Just be mindful. We have to ask ourselves where we're at as humans. Like, can you disconnect from your phone,
Hmm.
overnight or for a certain amount of time? But I would say to young folks, because now we're adults and we struggle with that. Again, we're working, we got other things, we're trying to multitask. But young folks, I would say to you, I don't want you to go and just turn your phone off and never talk to people. I'm not saying that. I'm saying to get to where you want to go, start small. See if you can get your phone off for 5 minutes. 5 minutes. I know that may seem like an eternity, but 5 minutes, just put it in the wherever, walk away from it, and see if you can decompress, right? And then pick it back up and talk to you, till you pass out. And then here comes my trusty sidekick who wants to give me some. So,
Yes.
when you start with 5 minutes, then you can build tomorrow with 6 minutes. And then eventually, hopefully, you can get to 30 minutes. And hello. And then that's how you eventually get to the point where you can put it down for they don't want no cake. To put it down for overnight, So again, young folks, just start little, and then grow bigger to connect to that phone.
I love it.
He
It's
wants
true.
to share his
It's true.
cake.
We do have to start small. I think everything is a work in progress at the end of the day. Like, any tips that we're giving you guys, it is not something that is going to come to you overnight. It is not something you're going to be able to just run out and do right now. These are things that take practice and time. You're going to build up to that.
Right.
It is not easy. Again, we giving y'all these tips, but y'all trust and believe we all struggling too. And we
It's a learning
listening to each
process.
other's advice too. So
Right.
it's definitely something that is going to take time for you guys to build up to grow to. And have y'all seen the study on YouTube with the kids who are trying to it was a study with electronics. And so they took away the phones, they took away the tablets, they took away the game systems, and these kids are literally having meltdowns because of the time frames that they're not allowed to hold an electronic in their hand. So I mean, it's really real. Like, we know that the struggle is real. Smitty said, we have to get it to a point where it is not something that you rely on.
What about again, being mindful of where we come from in a time where you talked on the phone with your girlfriend or your boyfriend or your friend or whatever till you passed out.
Yep.
Right. So young folks, we're not saying we haven't done that. We're not saying, that we're special. We did it. We just did it. Right. We just did it in a different way. But again, being older, just trying to advise you on things to be helpful to you is just go ahead and turn it off if you can for a little while, and just try to build to a longer term when you can turn that thing off. And again, being selfish with your time, being healthy about you, because like the doctor said, one bad thing leads to another bad thing. Then you don't get no sleep. Then you don't eat properly. Now you're malnourished. Now you pass out. You feel weak.
Right.
Now you go to depression because you feel like something's wrong and you can't catch up. One thing is to lead to another.
It escalates fast, and I think because if I had it to do over, right? Like think of it as this. We've done all the things and recognize, man, that if I had learned this earlier in my life, it would have been so much easier. So we're just trying to impart that in you now so you don't build the bad habits that we've had, that we're now trying to break, and it's just like, if I could respect how much sleep, man, I'm so excited that Caesar's like, nah, I like my sleep. I'm there now. I wasn't there when I was younger, and I struggled with having so many issues sleeping. And so figuring out how to do that is so big, because sleep impacts everything to your physical system, everything. I used to get sick all the time. I didn't understand why. A part of it's because my body just didn't have time to recover a lot of the time. The stuff that your body does naturally for you while you're resting, it's so important. And if you're not taking the time to give yourself rest, you don't even get a chance to rejuvenate in that way.
Absolutely. And I can honestly raise my hand and say, y'all, I was that procrastinator that she talked about earlier. Okay. I was that student who used to wait till the last minute to do the project because I felt that I worked better under pressure.
The things
So
we tell ourselves.
yes,
The things
exactly.
we
We,
tell
we, we
ourselves.
will sell ourselves the dream, okay? And I'm like, yeah, because I can get this done and it's no problem. But here I am up till 1, 2, 3, 4 o'clock. And then school starting I got to be up at 6, to walk out that door at 7. And and again, when you young, you be like, oh, I just bounce back. It ain't nothing. I can pull an all-nighter. And you excited when you talk about them all-nighters. But when you get in college, it ain't cute.
Well, to your point, when you get to college, no one's going to tell you you need to be in my classroom. So no
Exactly.
one's looking for you if you miss that class. But now you've missed an opportunity to learn what you needed to learn to pass that class, because you're accountable for yourself at that point. So
Right.
if you can start building the habit now to be able to not procrastinate and get the thing done, when you get to college, you already have some of the time management skills. So you can enjoy the college experience more, because you're going to put your priorities in order. You're going to be like, I need to get this
Exactly.
project done so I can go hang out with these friends, or I'm going to get this, work on this today and tomorrow so I can do that on the weekend. It's just learning things that you need to learn that you don't necessarily learn in high school, because you do have someone in high school, usually at least middle and high school, your teachers are going to be a little bit more actively engaged in, hey, how come you haven't turned this in, or how come you haven't done this, or you're not engaging when you're in my classroom. That doesn't happen when you get to college. When you get to college, that professor is going to teach that class whether you're there or not. They're not going to check in. They're not going to make sure you get notes if you missed anything, and I know some teachers are shifting away from that. They might just post it somewhere and you have access to that. You still have to go get it yourself. But that's so that when you get to college, you're not so jarred by the fact that you have to do so much for yourself. They're preparing
Absolutely.
you now so you already are self-sufficient. And hopefully we're building
Yes,
some
indeed.
some better habits so you don't think that procrastinating is cool.
And I want to jump in too because now that we're talking about those students that are going to college, please, students that are going to go to trade school, do not think that it's any different for you because
Y'all
it
get
is
up
the
even
same
earlier,
concept. Yep.
right?
And they're
Oftentimes the kids
preparing
get
you
up.
straight up for career. So, I
Mhm.
mean, your boss not going to be calling you and asking you where you at.
Right, they're going to grab that other person who's there. The other piece of it is you cannot be tired. You're
Yep.
dealing with equipment and machinery that's
Yep.
dangerous. So you need to be alert and ready. So it's so important to make sure that you build the habits you need now for your
Absolutely.
long-term goals and things that you want to accomplish. Like Smitty says, start figuring out and I'm not saying you need to know everything tomorrow. I'm just saying start considering, what are the things that you really want to accomplish? What does that look like?
It's called setting expectations, y'all.
You know,
Yeah.
and I think I want to add this in there, Abigail, because I don't know where we're going. I know you got some questions, but we're talking and this makes me mad. We're talking as if parents don't exist anymore. Like parents don't have authority. Young folks who are watching right now, and parents that are watching, you are still the parent. You are the guardian. You are responsible. You are the authoritative figure. Take the
Mhm.
stance and be proactive and be involved. And again, you know, if we're going to if we want our children to resemble us and maybe do what we say, let's at least meet them halfway. So if I'm telling you, my 10th grader, to turn your phone off at midnight, then I too should turn my phone off at some particular time. Better yet, let your 10th grader get involved and tell him or her, hey, when do you think I, your father, should turn my phone off? Understand I work, understand your grandmother's ill or something, but let's make it a family affair so there's some accountability on both
On
ends,
both sides.
you know? Because again, if I want to be that role model for my child, then maybe I should do some of these things. You know, one of the things that I love to tell young folks when I'm working with in the community is I need you to do your homework and I need you to do this. You know why? Because I'm in school too, and I have an instructor, and I got homework to do. So I'm not telling you to do something I'm not doing. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
But parents, you are still the authoritative figure. You are still responsible. And I think when you set those habits at a young age, it's probably a little bit more as you transition into middle school, high school, it becomes a little bit more familiar and you're not pounding your head against the wall. And then there's some resemblance like, oh, okay, I see why I do this, or I see why I do that.
Mhm.
You know, and I'm not saying it's easy, but I'm just saying these are the things as parents, we still got to be mindful. We are the parents.
Yes.
And I thank you for bringing that up, Smitty, because it's true. We have to be that example. And you reminded me of when I started my bachelor's degree, my son was starting pre-K. And when he would come home with his little homework, I'd be like, okay, we finna sit here, we're gonna do homework together. And so it's homework time. So he's sitting at one table and I sat myself at a different table so he can see that I'm working, but I'm watching him work too. And I'm like, okay, we got an hour to finish X. So if it's one page you're doing, you got an hour to finish that one page. And I'm gonna try to finish as much as I can in that hour too. But I had to learn to set boundaries and to my young parents who are, you know, trying to figure it out with kids, you know, you too have to learn how to set that boundary, because I know we get sucked into, we'll do it all at night when the kids are sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so easy for us to do that because they're out of the way and we now have that focus time. But sometimes we have to also remember that they are watching. And like Smitty said, having that conversation with your kids in the meantime, saying, you know, if I'm telling you to turn it off, I got to learn to turn it off too.
Right.
Those of you who have met my son know he's very vocal. And so my son told me one time, he's like, you know, Mom, you're really tired because you don't sleep. And you always tell me to go to bed. So I think you need to shut it off and go to bed. And I'm like, you right. And so I'm like, all right, well, let's shut it down. And you know, we done. But parents, sometimes we have to learn to take that advice from our kids too, because the more we're telling them, they're listening. But if they see that we're continuously not doing it, why should they?
Right. I will say my daughter likes to be my accountability partner. Okay, she whether or not I want her to, she's
Yep.
my accountability partner. She'll say, "Mom, did you remember to, you needed to, you said you had this due whenever, you said you were going to take a nap today. Did you do that?" Just checking in, because
Yes.
it is so important. And I think, to your point, Smitty, I love the idea of working as a family to do a thing. Like I said, when we put the phones in the hallway, my husband and I were like, we need to put our phones in the hallway too. All of us together, because if I'm saying, I'm exhausted, you know, and
Yep.
my kids are like, well, mom's tired, but she's in her room on on her phone instead of getting rest, and I'm trying to get them to behave in a manner that would encourage
Yep.
them to be rested. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, make it make sense, because I'm tired around here driving y'all around, so it's like,
Okay.
let us all do it together. And I think that that's such a good habit to build. Like, as a family, we support each other. I'm going to be your accountability partner. I'm going to work with you to the best of my ability. Now, are there times I'm going to need to grab my phone instead? Sure. But that should be fewer and farther between if we're
Exactly.
working towards a goal together as a family.
Exactly. I 100% agree. I also want to talk about, because I know a lot of times when we're talking to our students about preparing for back to school, a lot of it comes to lunch. Okay. And we know, y'all, a lot of our students absolutely do not like lunch. They don't like the lunch food. And so that becomes a whole nother topic of conversation. What is a tip that you would give to students who don't like the lunch food? How should they prepare for their school year?
So that's going to be different for every person. I think it depends on what your home life is like, right? So if I know that this is really the only opportunity I have and I just have to make do with what they have at the school, go with the option that you're most likely to enjoy, but eat something. Even if it's just the fruit side that they give you, eat something. If you have an opportunity to pack a lunch yourself, if you know whatever they're going to give me at school I don't like, and you know that you have the ability to pack something, please do, because it's important to nourish yourself. If your body is so focused on hunger, you cannot reasonably be expected to focus on any information that's being shared. Your mind is not going to give you the opportunity to hone in on what's being taught if your body is actively hungry and distracted. So if you can pack something easy that, pack it the night before so you're not scrambling in the morning. And I mean, it doesn't have to be anything crazy. My kids are really my daughter will make a sandwich every day. My son, he actually doesn't usually have too many issues with the school lunch, but if he gets to school and he's like, I don't want that, then he'll eat the fries or whatever the side is, and when he gets home he'll make himself something. But I usually will tell him, well, bud, at least here in Jacksonville you can see what's prepared for the month. So
Right.
go on that website, utilize your resources. If you see that they're serving something you absolutely won't eat, pack something. If you don't have a lot, pack a little bit. My kids will make their own. My daughter likes to make her own Lunchable. So she'll grab some Ritz crackers and she'll cut up cheese and do the things because, I'm like, they're charging us all this money just for packaging. But so she'll put it together in a little container and call it a day, or she'll make a sandwich. Sometimes we do a flour tortilla, spread it with like ranch, put lunch meat and cheese and roll it, and then cut
Okay,
it.
we got wraps. Yeah.
We got wraps. We use what we have at home, what we normally would eat, to make things that are fine sitting in the lunchbox or whatever for the day. But it's just, if you know you're not going to eat what they serve at school, try to make it a point to prepare something else that you can take, even if it's just, I grabbed a couple of, like I said, some crackers and some cheese or whatever, because nowadays that's a charcuterie. What are you talking about? Like that's
And a good one at that.
it's better than nothing, and you're feeding your body so you can focus on what you're supposed to be learning.
Yeah. We have a phenomenal chef in our school district, fortunately. I think they was awarded like top chef in the state when it comes to, seriously, like,
Oh, come on
serving
now.
school meals.
They want to move to Florida.
And I, because I'm always, skeptical about a lot of things, but I've got to give praise where praise is due. We had some teenagers request shrimp and something for lunch, and the chef ate it, and it was delicious.
No.
Yeah. So now again, you're not going to get that all the time, but I think what the doctor's saying is, because we had to do that. I think we take for granted that everybody can eat everything,
Right.
and that sometimes is not the exact truth. A lot of us have high blood pressure. Even at younger age, you can get high blood pressure,
Right.
diabetes, things of this nature, allergies, sickle cell. You can't eat certain things when you have sickle cell, which is predominantly in the Black community. So, that's something that we have to take accountability for, and understand we need to nourish our children properly, because I don't think we really understand how much energy it takes to run the human body throughout the day.
Yeah.
That's why they say breakfast is the most important part of the meal, because you done slept all night, or you was up till 4 a.m. and you didn't eat.
You ain't got to talk about me like that, Smitty. Okay.
No. I'm just saying,
I'm glad.
You was up all night struggling to turn your device off, right? You didn't eat. So now you're getting up, your body's on 2 hours rest. It has never rejuvenated. You didn't let anything build back up in you. So, again, going out the door with a banana, an apple, something to get you going, is helpful. Now, when it comes to eating throughout the day, I think because if you're doing extracurricular, especially sports, someone should be telling you about nutrition. You have to eat. You can't just think, oh, I'm gonna go to school, be up all night, then play, and it's not gonna happen. Yep. And then where younger folks, and if you're listening, and parents as well, not necessarily the physical, but also the mental part of trying to sit in school and learn. Your brain is working. You have to eat. And I know we got this thing right now where we got a lot of young folks wanting to DoorDash food to school. I don't know where I stand on that. I probably would have did it if I was in high school, but as a parent, as a mature person now, I don't advise such things.
But a lot of schools have shut it down. They won't allow the DoorDash to come to the school.
Well, I think we just shut it down like this past month or something. But however you can get the nutrition that you need, you got to figure that one out. You have to. I know for the most part, school lunches aren't the best, but they're nutritional. You can go in there and grab some milk and a piece of fruit to get you through the day.
Right.
But you got to. I'm not telling you to go in there and eat their teriyaki chicken, but definitely eat the fruit. You can't go wrong with fruit. An apple's an apple, whether it's in Florida or where it's in California. Apple's an apple.
Orange slices.
Teriyaki chicken, on the other hand, is totally different from place to place.
Right.
Very true. Very true.
I know. At least here, when I was in middle school, we started having certain schools would have options like you could get the salad bar and things like that. I don't know if they still have that. I hope they do, because I thought it was cool when it started. And it's so for me, I'm like, if you're the type that's like, that hot meal over there is not for me, eat that salad. I know, but it's better than nothing, and you definitely are going to be able to make sure that you like it, right? So if you don't like tomatoes, take the tomatoes out, but you have the salad, and it'll be nourishment to your body in that moment. And so that's really it. It's find something like you said, Smitty, grab that banana, grab an apple, something you can't go wrong with, and start there.
Now, and I want to again be mindful. Let me see how. In certain communities, the availability to fresh fruit, is kind of difficult. Mm-hmm. I know here in our district, they have what they call the food pantry, where families can come and get some food, canned foods, or things of that nature. Canned foods are great, but fresh fruit is more nutritious. It has all the vitamins that we need, and I think this is a whole different conversation, but we got to understand the importance of what we're eating. Yeah, we got to eat, but now what are we eating?
Right.
And that's where we have to, as parents, make sure, hey, let me get those apples, let me get those oranges, let me get those nectarines, let me get those grapes. The biggest thing I'll tell parents, and especially young folks right here, what you're listening, the best thing, if you're on the go and it's hard to eat, and you're not eating right, I'm gonna tell you right now, berries and nuts will keep you regular and keep you healthy. Strawberries, grab those. Strawberries, blueberries, raspberry have natural antioxidants in them. They help ward off all the toxins in your body. Nuts provide you the protein that you need. And you can make yourself a nice little, nuts and berries kind of concoction, eat it on the way, have it for later. But again, if we don't know that, I don't know. But those are just little tricks that you can do, to get you through the day and help get your body right, because you just can't eat McDonald's every morning. You just can't do it. That's not for you.
McDonald's. Oh, it is the McDonald's. Yes.
I was like, it's important too to recognize what your needs are as well. My middle son would be super hangry. Like when
Mm.
they were in uh he was in elementary school at the time, they would go to karate after school for a couple years, and my mother-in-law would pick them up. And the first couple times she was like, I don't know what's going on, but like he basically wouldn't talk, wouldn't do anything. He kind of had an attitude, and she was like, I don't understand what's going on. Like normally he's so, he's quiet, but it was really just he was hungry and
Mhm.
he had hit his mark. So I had to tell her, oh no, I always have snacks in the car. Like I and for me, I do have to be mindful because as a parent on the go when they were younger, you want to have those fruit snacks or whatever, but you have to figure out a balance between the junk snacks and
Yeah.
the nutritional snacks. So I've got cereal bars, I've got granola bars, I've got my kids like pistachios, so the little packs, like, because my sons will eat some of the other nuts too, but my daughter's like, no, hard pass. But she'll eat a pistachio. I don't know why. She loves peanut butter, but won't eat a peanut. But anyway, so the point was just finding the healthier snacks if you can. Just having an array of things. I'm not ever going to pretend that I don't want people. I think people go too far to one end sometimes, and they restrict things so much that all their student wants now is like the sweetest thing they can get. So I'm like, have a good array, just balance it out. Like if you have that sweet thing, have a salty. If you have that this, have something else. Balance it with a fruit. In our household, when we have fresh fruit, I'm like, eat a fruit first. If after that fruit you still feel snacky, we'll talk about it, because I really feel like, first of all, like you said, Smitty, the fruits are going to be the healthier option, and also they go bad. Like they go bad
Yeah.
faster. Those things that are shelf stable, I'm gonna let them sit on the shelf for now.
Right.
So that's important. Any other
And
back to
then
school things?
and don't fall into that whole Snickers satisfies you baloney.
Oh my God.
All that
Hungry.
stuff
Grab a
is
Snickers.
all that stuff is the sugar,
It,
and then you
it's
crash.
marketing. It's just marketing, guys.
That's it.
Exactly.
The monster drinks, the Red Bulls are no good for you.
Right.
All it is sugar. It sets you up to crash, and then you feel worse than when you had it before.
Right.
And parents, we have to do our due diligence too and understand what they're trying to market our children. That stuff is just not acceptable. And I'm not going to tell you what to feed your child, but that stuff's not acceptable and it's not healthy at all.
Drink
Just
water, y'all.
do the research, because if you look into it, you'll find out some of the chemicals and some of the things that are in them are causing people to have heart issues and things like that. So just do the research. i'm
Well,
not
hey,
I'm not
Doc,
saying
Doc, that is absolutely hysterical that you said that, because I don't want to get off our track, but folks will do diligence to find out what is in or is not in a COVID vaccine, but will not read the ingredients to
on
a
their
to,
food.
to a Red Bull to your
Monster.
regular lunch meat. They don't know what's in their lunch meat. You know what I'm saying? So I just had to say that because that's the world we live in. Like it's insane.
If for parents, students alike who are listening, if you don't take anything else away from this, just do your own research. I think we're providing some ideas. We've gone through some things. We want to help you, but really, I think you are in a wonderfully unique position to have so much available information at your fingertips. So just, you know, look for reputable sources, look for actual research, not just the Wikipedia version or anybody can go on there and change like look for official research on different things if you're wondering, or if you're concerned about a thing, because there's so much out there, and the best thing is for you to educate yourself no matter what we're talking about. So I love that, the conversation today about figuring out what are some tips for back to school, how to make this transition. you know Ultimately we've come up with, don't ever stop learning, and
Yes.
like make learning an active part of your everyday life. Get some
Yes.
rest and try to be as healthy about your food choices as possible, and I think that will set you up for the best year. What do you think?
Listen,
No,
I
no.
started typing it in the comment section of Facebook for those that wanted to follow along. So, like you said, I have tip 1, get sleep because it's important to be well rested. Tip 2, get organized so that you can stay productive.
Yeah.
Tip 3, because I love this one from Smitty. Be selfish with your time.
Yes. Time management is important.
Yes. And let me add tip 4, which is make sure you eat something.
Right.
Hmm. Listen, y'all, again, if you don't walk away with anything, we hope that you walk away with some of these tips that you can use at some point throughout this school year. Because again, we just want to make sure that you guys start your school year off proper,
Right.
healthy, in the know. Look, tip 5, do some research.
Do your own research. Any other things, Smitty? I know you were with us there.
we hey so Mira, so you guys know, the grandson will be 2 next or in a couple weeks here. And so me and the wife got him during the day while our son is starting his own business. I'm telling you, so now I gotta come to the kitchen and migrate because my wife has a call at 4:00. So this young folks, you gotta multitask and be flexible with your time to get some things accomplished, right? I think what I wanted to add and finish up with is, I know we focused a lot on the young folks, but I would urge parents to get involved if we're talking back to school.
Yeah.
And let's just say, hypothetically, you didn't participate as a parent last year. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I'm just saying you didn't know everything you should. There are so many things that we don't know as a parent when it comes to participating in school. Like, what's the curriculum? How does the curriculum get approved, right? So I think what I would just try to encourage, especially young parents, is first introduce yourself to the teacher. That's the foremost, right? Then introduce yourself to the principal, okay? And then after that, find out about the PTA. Now, I know the PTA may sound corny and old school, but I'll tell you what, the PTA knows everything that's going on in that district, and if something goes wrong and you need help, those are the people to go to. Yeah. Go to a school board meeting. See who the school board representatives are in your district, because these are the folks that approve your curriculum. Okay, these are the folks that approve expulsions. So you need to know who these people are. Get to know them before bad things happen. Okay, do your due diligence. There's always a complaint form on district websites. If you're not happy with an outcome or whatever the case is, don't just accept things. Yeah. Be involved with the school and the school district, parents. That's the biggest problem that I see working in the district, is we just don't know how to participate in school. And then the last thing I'll say is this. I asked my football team, who are 8 years old, I said, hey, what do you expect from school? And the best answer was, I can't wait for the school bus to come and get me. I asked them then, well, what do you expect from when you go to a birthday party? And off top, it was like cake, presents, clowns. That tells me right now, our students don't know what they expect from school, okay? We need to teach our children what to expect from school, but the only way we do that is by getting involved to find out what the school is supposed to provide other than this place where they learn A, B, and C. So that's a lot said, but parents, participate, get involved, be a part of the school district and your student. Be a student. Be a student with your student. Yep. I guess that's my best advice.
I love that advice. I absolutely love that. Let me put that in the tips. Hold on.
So true. And as a parent who's always been actively involved in my kids' schools, I can tell you we are few and far between. There are so many and I know not everybody has time that they can fully commit to going and attending this and attending that, but you can definitely send an email. Most teachers are happy to get an email introduction, even if you can't come up there physically. So I think for the parents who feel like, well, I don't know when I would be able to attend this thing or that thing. A lot of them are virtual now, so maybe you can't be there the whole time. Take as much time as you can, because it's so important for you to know what's happening. And our students, for even the best of our students who are very communicative, they are not necessarily going to be able to transmit all of that information to you. So it's very important that if you can be there, try to. I know that as a member of the PTA, I didn't get to go to many meetings, but I tried to make sure that if there were big things happening, I was aware, and that I was volunteering when I could, and asking, just talking to my, like you said, Smitty, talking to my principal, talking to my students' teachers, like, what's going on? What's the need? How can I help? Sometimes it's monetarily, sometimes it's just being there. And other times it's just, all right, you know that I'm here to support too. Because the teachers are not the only ones teaching our students, and they shouldn't be.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Agreed. Woo, y'all, look.
Hold on.
He like, no, don't do it.
The doctor again, Students, and I think there's still some left on here. If you're not, or want to share this with a student, get to know your teacher. Have a conversation with teachers. Aren't robots. Teachers have families, they have animals, they have cars, they may be into cars. They watch some of the TV shows you watch. They're human beings. Talk to them, get to know them, and you might find out, hey, we got some things in common, you know, and that alleviates some of those barriers and some of those challenges. Like, oh, this teacher don't like me because of this. Well, you ain't never talked to the teacher, so how do you know that? Right. You know,
true.
Get to know the teacher. They are human beings. Believe me, this is the one thing I told this to my kids, I tell it to every person. People love to tell you about themselves. High schoolers, talk to your teacher and ask them, hey, what did you do here? Or how did you do that? What's your favorite team? You in there for 35 minutes. I'm telling you, I'm not gonna lie to you. Get to know them.
That's so good. You all, this has been great. I hate to run, but I have another meeting, and I know I usually hang out so we finish everything up, but I gotta run, gotta jump. But this has always been great. I'm glad that I was able to jump on today and talk about getting back to school and hopefully give some useful tips along the way. So bye, everyone.
Bye, Doc. Yes, so I'm gonna go ahead and wrap us up because, you know, again, this has been another successful Talk Tuesday, and especially everything with back to school. And so I just want to, again, give a shout out to Dr. Lytle and Mr. Smitty for always coming on to give these valuable tools so that you guys have a way of succeeding and get some tips that you can use along the way. So I want to thank you guys for hopping in for another Talk Tuesday. Next week, we'll be back talking about some of the anxieties and worries that parents and students have when it comes to going back to school. So we definitely invite you guys back for that conversation so that you can kind of jump in. Tell us what worries you when it comes to starting school, because a lot of people have a lot of, listen, it's valid. Whatever it is that worries you, know that it's valid. There's a reason why you feel the way that you feel. And so we're not here to tell you that what you feel is less than anything else that somebody else feels, because what you feel is real to you. And so we're just going to shed some light on some of these anxieties that people have, because trust me, you are not alone. You are not the only one who feels that way. And so we're going to talk about it next week. So join us again next week for another Talk Tuesday. We look forward to seeing you guys. To my students who are on with us, I want to say thank you. Y'all can hang out because when I finish this live on Facebook, I'll still be in the room. So goodbye, Facebook. We thank you for having us.